Yeah. Okay, Vinny. Do you think that the donor money is? Do you agree with Dan? Do you think Dan? Do you agree with Dan that the donor money is irrelevant? They don't serve the donors at all. There are no establishment Republicans. We're all making it up. And golly gee, even Trump shouldn't have gone in a populist direction. And this is all wrong. And they should just serve the donors. And we're all imagining it. Vinny, you're on the right. What do you think?
Nobody's serving donors. Our incentive structures are not. I think your incentive structures.
Hey, it's not your turn, Dan.
Let Vinny totally different than mine.
You are the establishment. Donald Trump is a beast because he didn't need anybody's money. And to go back to Kristen's point, when she mentions Mattis and Kelly,
are you guys high right now?
With like, oh, we're going to be unified, and then it's like, here's who I want
Well,
represented.
that's the point I was going to make, Vinny.
Because she wants us to forget.
No, but it's
because you want us to forget.
Classic.
You want us to forget. No. It's classic because you guess what? You guys don't want accountability. You don't want accountability. No.
We're about to have a look at an intense battle between Cenk Uygur, Dan Crenshaw, Vinny Oshana from the PBD podcast over with Patrick Bed, David and crew, and Krystal Ball. It's really entertaining. They cover a couple different topics. So let's just go ahead and get right into it.
I don't like Democratic leadership. I think they are grossly incompetent. I loathe them. Okay, look, they call Donald Trump a maniacal clown, and I agree with that. But they lost to him twice. So what does that make them? Utter losers. And they're all over TV now blaming the voters, blaming this, blaming that. That's not why they lost. They lost because the Democratic Party leadership is a bunch of elitist clowns who agree with Dan Crenshaw. They think, oh, there's no establishment. You guys are making it up. So, Dan, I'll tell you
why are they attacking me all the time? Why do they hate my guts? Okay, I'm their worst enemy.
Because
it's so easy for me to beat them.
Okay.
It's so easy for me to beat Democrats.
So let me explain.
I'm one of the best at it.
Yeah. You guys actually totally agree, and you will agree on corporate tax cuts in within days of Donald Trump winning. So,
what
guys,
Democrat
he said there is no
Republican corporate tax cuts.
Can I just finish the point? Okay. So, who's the establishment Republicans?
No Democrat agrees on that.
Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's an establishment Republican. Almost all the Republican senators are establishment Republicans. And by the way, Nancy Pelosi is an establishment Democrat. Joe Biden is. What it means is you take donor money and you serve donors. You guys are all crooks. So you notice what Dan said? He said, oh, we're going to do I think Trump is smart enough to do pro-growth. You know what that means? It means tax cuts for the rich that are all Dan's donors. And they're Kamala Harris's donors.
When you say
it's not a left-right issue.
Now, I'm not really a fan of either of these two guys, to be honest with you, but it's really nice to see Cenk Uygur calling out Dan Crenshaw to his face and then watching Dan Crenshaw squirm and try to reject the notion that there is an establishment amongst the Republican Party. He might even be defending the fact that there is an establishment in Washington, D.C. Regardless, I love seeing Cenk Uygur call Dan Crenshaw out on this because this is one place that we both agree that Dan Crenshaw and the likes of him do serve their donors over the American people, which is something that hopefully, now that we've elected Donald Trump, we'll be taking a step forward towards separating our leadership from that type of mentality, right? We want to primary all these people who are serving themselves, each other, and, the establishment, their donors, from those positions. And even Elon Musk has said recently that he would fund a primary against a lot of these people that don't go along with the mandate that the people have set when they elected Donald Trump.
Cenk, when you say you're all crooks...
Can I put some economic
hang on, Dan.
You're going to do corporate tax cuts, aren't you? You're going to do corporate tax cuts, aren't you?
No, let me just say something.
You're going to do corporate tax cuts, aren't you?
Cenk, when you say you guys...
I want Dan on the record.
Hang on, Cenk, when you say Cenk, you guys are all...
I told you.
Hang on. Let me speak. Let me speak. When you say you guys are
good economic
Cenk,
sense.
I understand, Cenk, that the mood inside your body might be running hot this morning. However,
no, it's not. You're not getting it.
When you shout, you guys are all
idiot Democratic establishment lost.
I get it, but when you say you guys are all crooks, and you got someone like Dan sitting there, it's a ridiculous thing to say. Why do you use that language?
It's not.
It is ridiculous.
It's not. Piers, then you don't understand politics at all.
So Bernie
all of the donor money
isn't...
We said I don't understand politics, but I was the one who called Trump winning big.
So once again, I know it's getting a little jumbled because everybody's trying to talk at the same time, but, Cenk Uygur calling them crooks is exactly how I feel, honestly. And it's funny because Dan Crenshaw says here, so you're calling Bernie Sanders a crook. Well, if you can remember back before Bernie Sanders became a millionaire, he used to say we need to tax the millionaires and billionaires. And now recently, over the last few years, he's changed that phrase to we need to tax the billionaires. Also, to Cenk Uygur's point, when he mentioned Mitch McConnell, well, yeah, us Republicans, us MAGA, whatever you want to call it, the Trump supporters, we don't like Mitch McConnell either. So, I mean, you can't really in your face with the whole Mitch McConnell take because we're all done with him as well. But I digress.
Goes to crooks like Dan Crenshaw. So let me ask you something. Let's ask Vinny.
Bernie Sanders isn't a multimillionaire who takes donor money?
Yeah. Okay, Vinny. Do you think that the donor money is? Do you agree with Dan? Do you think Dan? Do you agree with Dan that the donor money is irrelevant? They don't serve the donors at all. There are no establishment Republicans. We're all making it up. And golly gee, even Trump shouldn't have gone in a populist direction. And this is all wrong. And they should just serve the donors. And we're all imagining it. Vinny, you're on the right. What do you think?
Nobody's serving donors.
I agree.
Our incentive structures are not. I think your incentive structures.
Hey, it's not your turn, Dan. Let Vinny
totally different than mine.
Yeah, hold on, just real quick. And then just to clarify.
I can't see anybody.
Dan,
how are we supposed to know?
Well, Dan, just to clarify, I am a United States Air Force veteran as well, so I didn't serve in combat, but I am a veteran, so my brother, my sister, but that's besides the point. And I do agree with Cenk. You cannot say that there's no establishment. There's establishment left and there's establishment right. And for all these people taking donor money, you are the establishment. Donald Trump is a beast because he didn't need anybody's money. And to go back to Kristen's point, when she mentions Mattis and Kelly.
Are you guys high right now?
No, I'm actually very sober.
He's taken a ton of donor money. He's taken a ton of donor money. Every single one does, including your favorite Bernie Sanders, including Donald Trump. You guys can't just make up facts
right now. Not corporate money like you.
And then do single variable analysis about.
That's a fact.
And you can't just do single variable analysis.
He literally doesn't take corporate PAC money.
About donor money equals corruption.
All right, let me look. I think we're getting in.
Can I actually?
Let me bring in. Hang on. Let me bring in Krystal. I want to ask you this, Krystal. Kamala Harris made a big play of abortion rights. She really bet the bank on that delivering enough women to get her over the line. And there was this weird poll, the Seltzer poll that came out of Iowa at the weekend that really excited everyone, where she had, the normally very accurate pollster, she had Kamala up 3 in Iowa, and it was apparently women over 60 that were driving that. And the general feeling then was, wow, maybe older women in particular, who might be old enough to remember life before Roe versus Wade, may come out and punish Trump enough where they win. But they simply didn't come out in anything like the numbers people expected. And you also had at the same time, obviously, a lot of black men and Latino men going to Trump and so on. But the women just did not come out for Kamala Harris. Why? And was it that abortion in the end, yes, it's an important issue, of course it is, but not as important to the average American who can't afford to put food on the table and is incensed by the fact that at the same time of this cost of living crisis, you have nearly 10 million illegal immigrants coming over the border, which is putting huge pressure on public services. Was it they just bet the bank on the wrong issue? That actually, yeah, it's important, but not as important as I kept saying. I think it's the economy, and immigration. They're the two reasons that Trump is so popular.
So before Krystal Ball answers that question, I want to ask you, does it make sense that maybe the Kamala Harris campaign, the DNC, were only catering to feminists, and that the majority of women across the country actually love men? They love their sons, their fathers, their grandfathers, their husbands, their brothers. And it was only, this catering to the fringe, which is what the Democratic Party seemed to have done in this last election. They ran on fringe topics rather than, the main things that people care about. And so I think generally I've experienced from hanging out with women, from having friends that are women, that a lot of women just don't like other women. And so, once again, I think it's maybe just the catering to the feminists, these, strong whammon types that the DNC was focused on, which basically led to people being deceived. I don't know. What do you think? Am I wrong?
I think that I and others overlearned the lesson from 2022, because in 2022, I was saying, oh, look at the economic numbers. Voters are saying economy, inflation, these are the number one issues. The economic numbers, by the way, were far worse at that point. And I said, it's a wrap. Like, it's going to be a massive red wave. And then that red wave didn't materialize. So I took from that this issue, which had really been a game changer in terms of the American public in a way that, frankly, I did not anticipate before. But I think part of what is different in 2024 is, number one, it's, much larger general election electorate. So that's a big change. And number two, as much as I think there are failures on the Democratic part, I also think we can't deny that Trump is this uniquely charismatic performer. And people love the show. So he outperformed every Republican on the ticket, which is also a rebuke to, a lot of Republicans who thought that they had to get rid of him because of all of his baggage. I actually think he's the most, likely to win of the Republican set. I think Ron DeSantis would have been in much more difficult terrain. So every single Republican Senate candidate underperforms him, save for, I believe, one. So I think that's part of why. But, look, the country overwhelmingly says that we're on the wrong track. They're very dissatisfied with the economy. Joe Biden's approval rating is very low. Those are very favorable conditions for a challenger to come in and win. And so when voters say at the end of the day, economy and inflation, those are my number one issues, I believe them when they say that.
Okay, Vinny, what do you want to see Trump do in his second term? I totally agree with what Dan said, that he'll be much more conscious of his legacy because he hasn't got to win another election. So he's got a second chance that maybe even Trump, if he's honest, thought at the start of 2022 he might not have got. I thought he was dead and buried politically. I think most people did. So the fact he's won again so emphatically is extraordinary, but it gives him an extraordinary opportunity to correct the legacy that he left with last time. What do you want to see him do, and how important is it to unify America? It's so bitter. It's so divisive, American political discourse now. Would you like to see him bring people into the tent? For example, putting some people perhaps in his cabinet from the other side, bringing people in, being a genuine unifier.
Yeah, and Piers, he was already doing it. If you watch the campaign trail, he not only had Jewish Americans backing him, in Detroit, he had Muslims going on stage and saying that he has the Muslim vote again. And I do think, Piers, and just going back, Piers, the Democrats had 4 years, Piers, 4 years to prove everybody wrong and say, look at how bad Trump was. Look at what we've done. They did absolutely nothing. They got exposed and they did shit. Sorry for my language, Piers, but this is what I want them to do besides being a unifier, because I wrote some of these things down. We need election reform. Number one, here's the fact that California, Gavin Newsom, has made it illegal to even show your ID to vote speaks volumes on what these people want. Flying illegals to all these swing states is unbelievable. And all these battleground states, that's cheating. He has to do that, number one, too. I want him to get all the Epstein's list, and this is not unifying, but this needs retribution. We need exposure to all these people. Epstein's list and holding all these people accountable for what they did. January 6th, we need a full investigation. I know, excuse me. Okay, listen. Get rid of that bullshit.
His best friend for 10 years. I'm sure that list is really forthcoming.
By the way, switch everything on Donald Trump. Not Bill Clinton or any of your go-to Democrats. But anyway, let me finish.
I called them
January 6th. Donald
Trump was his best friend for 10 years. So conveniently ignore that.
Okay. They were best friends. Yeah. The January 6th investigation, the pipe bomb investigation, Piers, I think he needs to pardon all the people that didn't do anything wrong, that were just standing there. They got freaking 20 years in prison. Oh my God. Yeah, it was an insurrection. No guns, no nothing. Nobody got killed. The only person that got killed.
The trouble, Vinny, Vinny, the trouble is,
it's so funny though.
Hang on. I tell you what.
It starts with we're going to be we're going to be unified, and then it's here's who I want retribution.
Well, that's the point I was going to make, Vinny.
Because she wants us to forget.
No, but it's
because you want us to forget.
Classic.
You want us to forget. No. It's classic because you guess what? You got to go on accountability. You don't want accountability. No. Let me finish. You don't want accountability, and that's what you Democrats do. Yeah,
hold on,
accountability for all the
bullshit.
This
doesn't sound very unifying now. Let me just hang on, please. Hang on, just time out, please. I want time out.
You know what? I'm tired of hearing this responsibility being thrust upon Donald Trump and his supporters and the Republicans, I guess, to be this, strong unifier. I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump spent the first 4 years of his presidency trying to cater to and appeal to the Democratic Party in the mainstream media. That's why he did all of his interviews, or the majority of them, with people that hated him. That's why he funded the Russia collusion investigation into himself, unlike anything Biden would do. It's time after time, Donald Trump was trying to make the Democratic Party like him, was trying to appeal to everybody because, yes, Donald Trump wants to be liked by everybody, okay? But this time around, there's been a mandate set by the American people. The way the Democratic Party has treated Republicans, the way they've treated MAGA, the way they've treated Donald Trump needs to be addressed. And that's part of the mandate. Like I said, this time it is retribution. Don't put this unifying responsibility on the Republicans. That makes no sense. We've been kicked and punched and canceled and put down for nearly a decade. And so now the Republicans have the power. They've won the House. They've won the Senate. They have the White House with Donald Trump. And the American people are unified in that the way the Democratic Party has led the last 4 years, and, you know, even beyond that, with Nancy Pelosi being the Speaker of the House during the last 2 years of Donald Trump's first term, is not the way the American people want to proceed. We want fewer wars. We want to end wars. We want to protect ourselves. We want to protect our borders. We want to be safe. We want to be fruitful. We want to have families. We want to be able to afford it. So that's what we're focused on. So anybody that stands in the way of that, they're just anti-Americans and they're anti-America. And at this point, the way the Democrats have treated Donald Trump so unfairly with all these witch hunts, yes, there needs to be accountability. Some of these folks need to be, primaried or removed from their positions or have charges pressed. There's so many different instances that need to be addressed. And, the Democrats are going to come out here and they're going to say, see, look, we told you that Donald Trump was going to go against his enemies. Well, these are the same people that declared Donald Trump their own enemies, right? They went after Donald Trump first. And now Donald Trump has the authority and the power and the support of the American people after he won this last election in a landslide. So I'm looking forward to Donald Trump being inaugurated. It can't come fast enough, to be honest with you. And if the Democrats want to be unifying, the olive branch has been there the entire time. All they have to do is just take it with a good intention, with heavy emphasis on that last part of good intention. You can't just act like you're on the other side nowadays like Cenk is so you can get close to us and then fuck us over. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're an America First type individual, you're in the right place. So make sure you do subscribe, and also come check out the live show. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. It's with the Jar Openers podcast. We have a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Also, I have a Discord link down in the description. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.